Good evening, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. I'm Mobile Geezer, and happy that you're here. And if this is your first time here, we do this every week. We go over some of the stories from articles of the last week about tech. And for the first time, I tell you every week that the show notes are on my website. But I figure why not just give you a link to my website in the notes. So I pasted the link in case you want to follow along. And in here in StreamYard, you can copy that link. You'd have to paste it into your browser. But I'm looking at it on my phone. It looks like you could just tap on it and if you're on a phone and go straight to it. So anyway, anybody who wanted to follow along, I just tried to make it a little easier. Brian was here more than 20 minutes ago. So he's in here. Eleanor just popped in. Hey, Eleanor. Brian already said hello. So if you're new here, I'll show you the website where you can follow along in the show notes. So let me share screen. And this is my website. And if you go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, if you click on just today's date, you'll get the notes just for tonight's show notes, just for tonight's stories. So while we're here, as I always do, I'm going to give you a quick little preview of what stories we're going to go over. Now, if I missed any big stories this week, there's no great disaster like we had last Friday. But if I missed any big stories, you guys let me know. This was one of those weeks. I don't think there was anything huge, and I just picked 6 stories that I thought might interest you guys because they interested me. So let's slide down. Now, I am starting with the company that started all this crap last week, CrowdStrike. I said a CrowdStrike apology, more like an insult, in my opinion. I got this off of Tom Scott, and you'll see what that's all about. And tonight's probably going to be a fairly short show, especially if Ted or Will or somebody doesn't come in, because I don't think I have any really long stories tonight. So next story. So there's no priority here. I just picked stories that I thought were interesting. Android users coming to iPhone, but for the wrong reasons. I just happened to find this story on Tech Radar, and I just thought it was interesting that Android users are switching over to iOS, but not to the phone that Apple would want them to. But you'll see what we mean. Third story. Now, I use Wiz, and so does Eleanor. We both turn on lights in her house and in my apartment with Wiz. So I didn't know that Google was trying to take them over, but Wiz says no to Google's takeover bid. Found that on The Verge. So we'll go over that. And then since Samsung's Ring came out, and that's become a big deal, and obviously the big competition to Aura, which is the #1 ring, because Samsung doesn't need the subscription, I found another story on Tech Radar, Aura Ring fighting back against Samsung's Ring Challenge. So, and it's going to be about their upgrades. And then, as you know, I always keep you up on the Epic and Apple fight going on in the EU. Now, we know that recently I told you about Apple giving in and allowing Epic's store on iOS in the EU, not in the United States. But I post these whenever I see them because I figure some of these things are going to come to the United States at some point. And I figure it's an ongoing story. So I said, Epic will bring Fortnite and more other games to its iOS App Store in the EU and to other third-party app stores in the App Store in the EU, but not in the United States yet. I found that on The Verge also. And the last story is going to be Pixel Watch 3 may be very pricey. Now, most of you know I just got the new Galaxy Watch 7. I didn't get the Ultra. And tonight I am wearing my OnePlus Watch 3, which I really like a lot. So those are the stories we're going to go over tonight. And if Ted, I haven't heard anything from Ted, of course, and of course this is the season he's probably out taking a lot of pictures for his little side business. And certainly he's learning a lot. But if he pops in, I'll let you know. If Will happens to pop in by some miracle, I'll let you guys know. Meanwhile, all you get is me. So we're going back to the first story. A CrowdStrike apology, more like an insult, in my opinion. So let's head over to Tom's Guide and get this. Now, keep in mind, this company's mistake cost probably billions of dollars around the world, different companies. CrowdStrike issues apology for global IT outage, get this, in the form of a $10 Uber Eats gift cards, which then don't work. I see you, Brian. I've tried the noise cancellation on both just a couple of times, but I'm trying to get together on working on something to compare 5 or 6 of the ones I've gotten recently. But I haven't quite gotten around to it yet. But the noise cancellation, I'd say, is good, but I haven't really compared them yet. So I told you, probably another week I'll probably get to that. I hope. Anyway, sorry about that. All right, so they're giving $10 Uber Eats gift cards as an apology. It says that, and that's by Tom Pritchard published yesterday. That's worse than getting nothing. I agree 100%. So let's drop this into reader view and check this out. Yeah, this is a real insult in my opinion. All right, let's get to the top. What do you do if you push out a software update that causes a huge chunk of the planet's IT infrastructure to grind to a halt? If your name is CrowdStrike, apparently that involves offering $10 Uber Eats gift vouchers, some of which don't actually seem to be working, according to TechCrunch, I guess. For those that don't know, the CrowdStrike outage started on July 19th with Windows machines across the world crashing and being sent into an infinite boot loop in a perpetual blue screen of death. This was, and I'm sure everybody knows about it. This was caused by a CrowdStrike software update, which could then only be fixed manually, deleting certain files from each individual machine. And we went over how to do that last week. Needless to say, the cleanup was a huge undertaking. And that's the key here. And Annette popped in. Hi, Annette. Glad to have you here as always. And she says, just wanted to stop and say hi and have a great weekend. Off to work. Well, I'm glad you popped in. Have a good work and have a good weekend. So, sources told TechCrunch that they received an email from CrowdStrike offering the voucher because it recognizes the additional work that the July 19th incident has caused, adding to express our gratitude. Your next cup of coffee or late night snack is on us. Now, in my opinion, you probably should have said something like, can we offer to help make up some of those thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars we cost you in trying to clean this mess up, especially in the man hours that you had to pay your employees to take care of this? But no, they want to give you a $10 gift card. One post on X noted that this voucher was worth £775 or around $10, while others reported that they received error messages during redemption, claiming that the vouchers had been canceled and were no longer valid. And there's a good reason why. We'll get to that. Considering the CrowdStrike-induced outage is estimated to have cost billions of dollars in damages, a $10 gift card is the absolute furthest thing from an apology. I completely agree. It also reeks of those terrible workplaces where bosses offer employees a single slice of pizza in lieu of bonuses or overtime pay as a reward for their hard work. I don't think I've ever had a boss that bad. The fact that some of these gift cards didn't even work just adds insult to injury. You may be thinking that this could be the work of opportunistic scammers trying to take advantage of this situation with the promise of gift cards. But CrowdStrike did confirm to TechCrunch that they were the ones that sent out the gift cards, claiming that we did send these to our teammates and partners who have been helping customers through this situation. What nerve. Now get this, Uber flagged it as fraud because of high usage rates. So obviously they went and got all these, I guess, hundreds of thousands of $10 gift cards, sent them out to people, never told Uber they were doing it. So what's Uber to think all of a sudden they're probably getting hit with tens of thousands of these? They probably thought it was fraud. So they screwed up again. A lot of questions need to be answered in the aftermath of the CrowdStrike outage last week, and the CEO is being called to testify in front of the House Homeland Security Committee. Meanwhile, Microsoft has blamed the EU for the disaster due to legal restrictions that prevented walling off the Windows operating system the same way Apple has done. The way the EU has been coming after all of the big tech giants over here, I don't think I would go after them with this kind of stuff or accuse them. And maybe, we haven't seen the wording that Microsoft has sent to the EU. So I'm thinking they probably didn't blame them. That would be kind of stupid, in my opinion. Anyway, this means security software specialists have the same level of access to Windows as Microsoft. CrowdStrike isn't the only company in hot water. Delta is facing a federal investigation over the outage, which saw the airline cancel, get this, 478 flights and delay a further 1,440. Figures that are reportedly more than those from other airlines, you think? So this story isn't going to be going anywhere anytime soon, even if the damage itself seems to be mostly over. We can only hope that CrowdStrike doesn't continue to make things worse with token gestures that are frankly worse than nothing. I totally agree. But to me, the fact that they didn't even tell Uber they were doing this, it's just the same kind of screw up as the first time. They just jumped into stuff without, with no forethought whatsoever. Anyway, just an interesting story, and not a company I think I'd want to deal with at all, even though in the background, I guess we all are. So let's get out of this. Very interesting. I thought that was a good one to start with. So nothing new in the comments. So we're going to go on to our next one. Android users coming to iPhone, but for the wrong reasons. This is on Tech Radar, and this is just an interesting story, like I said. Android defectors are flocking to Apple, but not thanks to the iPhone 15. And there's the problem. The iPhone 15 is the latest phone, and of course, money-wise also. By Mark Wilson, published 2 days ago. Here's what Android switchers are going for instead. So into reader view we go. Oh, and here's Ruthie. Yeah, she's this terrible mess they called. Yeah, and if you saw the first story, it's like even that they screwed up with their stupid $10 gift card. Okay. Android defectors flocking to Apple, but not thanks to the iPhone 15. The terrifying ferocity of the Android versus iPhone debate means you'd be forgiven for thinking that no one ever switches sides, but they do. But according to a new report, that's far from the case. In fact, a surprisingly high percentage of new iPhone owners last month were people who have defected from Android. Will would love this, I'm sure. According to new data from the Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, in June 2024, so last month, a massive 17% of iPhone buyers in the US came from Android. That's a big number. As the report states, that was the highest level of switching from Android to iOS among iPhone buyers in the last several quarters. While that might sound like a flag-waving moment for Apple fans, which you'd think it would be, it might not be quite as positive for the iPhone as it sounds. As CIRP notes, this high percentage of Android switchers is a reflection of the difficulty that Apple is having in convincing existing iPhone owners to upgrade, that they're not upgrading. A separate report this month found that the iPhone 15 series isn't selling as well as the previous new iPhone series. In the second quarter of this year, the iPhone 15 models were only 67% of total iPhone sales. So that's from March through June, compared to 79% for the iPhone 14 series in the equivalent quarter of 2023. So not as good as a year ago. And here's the chart showing that stuff. Shows the percentage of iPhone buyers that came from Android in the June quarter over the past few years, with June 2024 hitting a high. So these are the most that came over in June in the last 5 years. Looks like in 2020 it was close again. 2020, it's like every 2 years, but this one's way bigger. So that's also a reflection of which models Android defectors are choosing. Yeah, this is a big deal. Rather than the iPhone 15, Android switchers have mostly been choosing the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus, followed by iPhone 13 and iPhone SE. So they're buying the older, cheaper phones, not the newest, expensive one. This isn't too surprising when you look at reasons why Android fans are moving to iPhones. In the survey, 53% said it was due to prior phone problems, while 15% said it was down cost. I guess it meant down to cost. In other words, they could spend less on a new iPhone than they expected, or less than for a comparable Android phone. So if you needed a new Android phone, it will be cheaper for you to buy last year's iPhone, and you still have a great phone, which makes perfect sense. And Brian says, okay, that was in regards to the first story. Ryan also says the upgrades are not just that noticeable with iOS. Yeah, I'm not on the beta, but iOS 18 will give us a lot more customization. That's very true. I've seen many articles on that. It seems that older iPhones are hitting the sweet spot for many Android switchers and iPhone upgraders, even though the iPhone Pro Max is now the world's most popular smartphone, which is what I had. I didn't bring it to work today, but I used it yesterday because I had the Apple Watch on yesterday. So what's wrong with the iPhone 15? It does have Apple Intelligence. Well, some of them do. Mine does. Apple tried hard to boost the appeal, or will when 18 comes out. Apple tried hard to boost the appeal of the base iPhone 15 last year. As our iPhone 15 review notes, for the first time in a while, Apple's most affordable new iPhone doesn't feel miles away from the flagship. But once we get to Apple Intelligence, it will. However, for buyers, it also seemingly doesn't feel far enough away from the iPhone 14 to justify the cost. Yep. Last month, 15% of new iPhones sold were iPhone 14 models, with the newer iPhone 15 just ahead by 19%, and the iPhone 15 Plus down by a measly 8%. The iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is the phone I have, was the most popular single model in 22% of iPhone sales, but it still sold less than the iPhone 14 and 13 series combined, 28%. The announcement of Apple Intelligence in June might leave the iPhone 15 series even further in the cold. That's true. Apple's AI features are only compatible with the 15 Pro and Pro Max. So if you have the bottom two, you're not even going to get Apple Intelligence. So if you don't care about AI, you might just as well get an iPhone 14 Pro, iPhone 14 model or older, as many Android defectors are doing. That's where Apple's losing out, they think. But if you do want a future-proofed Apple phone, you should probably wait for the iPhone 16 at this stage. That's probably very true. It's clear that AI and Apple Intelligence are now the key upgrade features for Apple and Samsung. But with few tangible AI benefits today, the current flagship phones are in a tough spot. Yeah, because you won't see them till iOS 18. But we only got a month and a half or so to wait. And many are instead choosing the value of previous flagship, which arrived before smartphone tech hit its current plateau. As the CIRP report notes, these older phones cost less and have less advanced features. And they turn out to be especially interesting for former Android owners. But that's also a sign of the relatively weak appeal of the iPhone 15, as the consistency and urgency of those upgrading iPhone owners is at an apparent low point. So I guess Apple is not happy that they're not grabbing the 15 Pro and Pro Max, and they're mostly buying last year's phone. So just very interesting stuff, I thought. Okay, let's get out of here. Nothing else new in the comments, so we will continue on. It's going to be a quick night, folks. All right, Wiz. Wiz says no to Google's takeover bid. This was on The Verge. Wiz rejects Google's $23 billion takeover in favor of initial public offering. Had the deal gone ahead, it would have been the largest acquisition ever made by Google. Didn't realize that. And this was by Jess Weatherbed, and it's from 3 days ago. So let's jump into read a view. Okay, cybersecurity startup Wiz has been around a while though, has turned down a $23 billion takeover bid from Google's parent Alphabet, breaking off what would have been the largest acquisition in the search giant's history. In an internal memo seen by CNBC, Wiz co-founder Asif Rappaport said the company would instead pursue an IPO. Saying no to such humbling offers is tough. I'm sure it was. Rappaport said in the memo sent to Wiz employees. Had the acquisition gone ahead, it would have doubled the $12 billion valuation that Wiz announced in May after the company raised $1 billion in private funding. Good for them. According to the memo, Wiz will now focus on achieving $1 billion in annual recurring revenue alongside the IPO. Goals the security firm had set before its talks with Google. Neither Wiz nor Alphabet have officially acknowledged that the deal was being discussed. So they don't even want to talk about it. Wiz offers cloud-based security solutions. I told you, Elmo and I use them mostly for lights. For enterprise customers, so I don't know how much the businesses use them, but I guess it must be a big deal for business customers. An attractive target that could have placed Google in a better position to compete with industry leaders Microsoft and Amazon, so they must do well with business stuff. Antitrust regulators have increasingly fixated on deals made by big tech in recent years. However, and according to CNBC, both antitrust and investor concerns were cited as reasons for Wiz abandoning the deal. So the government may not even have let it go through. The Justice Department has already launched 2 ongoing antitrust lawsuits against Google over its search engine and digital advertising businesses, and we've gone through that in the past. Google purchased 2 cybersecurity firms. Oh, I think we've gone through the big one. In 2022, Simplify and Mandiant. I remember we went over the Mandiant one. Don't think I remember the Simplify one, which is the smaller of the 2, for 500 million, that's this one, and 5.4 billion, that's Mandiant, respectively, with the latter company best recognized for uncovering the SolarWinds hack. That's true. So Google did not get Wiz, and I hope Wiz continues to do well. We'll see how it goes. But I didn't even know Google was trying to take them over. So still nothing new. So we'll continue on. Take a quick sip of my green tea. Since the Samsung Ring made such a splash, Aura feels like it needs to respond. Aura Ring fighting back against Samsung's Ring challenge on Tech Radar. Aura Ring 4 leak shows how Aura plans to fight back against the Samsung Galaxy Ring by David Neld, published 4 days ago. 4th gen model cited. So into review. With the launch of the Samsung Galaxy Ring, we've got a brand new contender for our best smart rings list, but the biggest name in the space has an upgrade of its own in the pipeline, and we've just got our first glimpse of the Aura Ring 4. That's going to be the new one. This leak comes from Android Authority and consists of certification documents necessary for the device to go on sale. Images of the wearable are included, and it looks like Aura is sticking with its familiar flat and smooth look. So they would have submitted the certification documents to the government, and of course, sites like Android Authority watches those so they can tell as soon as something new gets submitted, meaning it's going to be out soon. As you can see from our Samsung Galaxy Ring hands-on, that ring has a slightly concave shape, but there's no sign of that here and no visible protrusions anywhere. So it looks like this will once again be a sleek, minimal kind of wearable. Yeah, we've got the picture down there. We don't get too much more in the way of information about the Aura Ring 4, though it does seem that it will be available in a selection of sizes and finishes like the current model. With certification now underway, a launch shouldn't be too far off. And that's what it looks like on its little charging thing. Long-awaited upgrade. In our Aura Ring 3 review, we praised its upgraded sensors, impressive sleep monitoring abilities, and its smooth and comfortable feel. It's possible that we'll again see several improvements in terms of the sensor capabilities. There have been murmurs that the next Aura Ring would support making contactless payment. That would be pretty cool. That's something that the Galaxy Ring doesn't have. So that's potentially one way that this upcoming wearable could beat Samsung's offering. Let's see. Ruthie saying, was wondering about what Aura's response would be. Yeah, so this is the start of it. Now, keep in mind, it's not out yet. Given the wealth of new AI tools and features we've seen lately across all kinds of devices, we might get some extras in terms of data crunching and analysis from the software side, though these might be part of the Aura membership subscription. Yeah, that's true. The Aura Ring 3 continues to get new features on a regular basis. Didn't know that, but that's very good, I guess, especially since it's a subscription. And Aura has been in no rush to launch a new model. The 3rd gen Smart Ring first went on sale in November 2021, so we may have to wait a while for this one. So we could be looking at a 3-year gap by the time the 4th gen model shows up. But anyway, interesting that they know they've got a fight on their hands with Samsung, and let's see if they can offer more than Samsung can. Now, keep in mind, your subscription versus no subscription. So, in my opinion, Samsung has the advantage. But it depends on how you look at things, I guess. So let's get out of here. Yeah, and see, I'm like Brian. Brian says, I just like no subscriptions. I'm the same way. I don't subscribe to this stuff. So, on to our next story. This is the ongoing saga with Epic and Apple in the EU. But like I said, at some point, I'm thinking it's bound to come to the US. Epic will bring Fortnite and more to its iOS App Store in the EU and to other third-party app stores. This was on The Verge. Epic will bring Fortnite to third-party iOS app stores, including All-Store PAL by Jay Peters, and this is from yesterday, from actually late yesterday afternoon. So into reader view we go. Epic Games plans to bring Fortnite to the third-party iOS App Store Alt-Store PAL, which is only available in the EU. So now that iOS has opened it up over there, now they're going to see not just Epic's App Store, but others too. The company made the announcement in a Thursday blog post about its strategy for mobile stores, and it says it expects to announce support for at least 2 other third-party stores soon. Well, Epic says that it plans to bring our own mobile games, including Fortnite, to other mobile stores that give all developers a great deal. It didn't provide a specific timeline. In addition to Fortnite, Epic also plans to bring Rocket League Sideswipe to All-Store PAL. Spokesperson Natalie Munoz tells The Verge. When reached for comment, All Stores Riley Tested pointed to Epic's post and said that we're very excited to be bringing Fortnite and more to All Store PAL. The company is also working on bringing Fortnite to iOS in the EU, which it says will happen soon, and launching its own app store on iOS and Android. Epic also announced that we will, now get this kind of surprised me. Epic also announced that we will be ending distribution partnerships with mobile stores that serve as rent collectors without competing robustly and serving all developers fairly, even if these stores offer us a special deal for our own games. I guess that kind of makes sense because now that they bring in other app stores, they'll make that money up. Epic is presumably talking about Apple and Google here, given the company's disputes with both companies over their App Store practices. Munoz declined to comment. So they're saying they're not even going to offer theirs in the Apple and Google stores and other stores in the EU. Epic also plans to pull Fortnite and other apps, Rocket League Sideswipe, and Post Party, according to Munoz from Samsung's Galaxy store. So they're serious about that. They really seem to be expecting to make up good money bringing in these other app stores. The company cites 2 factors as to why. One is Samsung's auto blocker feature that blocks sideloading by default, though you can turn the feature off. That's good, according to 9to5 Google. Another is public revelations in the U.S. Epic versus Google lawsuit of ongoing Google proposals to Samsung to restrain, so Google is trying to make it worse for them here, to restrain competition in the market for Android app distribution, presumably referring to initiatives like Project Banyan, which Google gave up on. Apple, Google, and Samsung didn't immediately respond to a request for a comment. So, seems like Epic is doing well with the whole thing over in the EU. When will it come to the US? Who knows? Brian, thank you as always, sir. You're always very, very faithful, and it's much appreciated. Okay, let's get out of this one. So I hope you guys are finding these stories interesting. You know, when we don't have the big heat of the big developments happening, this is when we can get to more stories like this that are interesting and not earth-shaking. So it's nice to see Epic, I think, doing well, at least over in the EU. And here's my last story. I told you it's going to be a quick night. Pixel Watch 3 may be very pricey, I said. And Ruthie says, thank you, Ruthie. Appreciate that very much. This was on Android Central, so let's go check it out. Forget budget friendly. The Pixel Watch 3 price rumors are brutal. By Jay Bongolto, published 21st. Maybe Google is finally gearing up to challenge Apple head on this time, I guess because of the price we're talking. Oh, and let me pull up something, at least I think I can pull up something I put aside for myself later on this one. Bear with me a moment, folks. I'm going to... Okay. So I'm back over to here. Okay. All right, we still have them up. You'll see what I'm doing later in a few minutes. Brian says, did they slim the bezels at least? I didn't even look at that, but we'll look as we go down. Oh, and look who just popped in on the story. There you are. I'm on the last story. You know that, right? I hope he can hear us. I saw his face for a split second. And Ruthie says, hi, Ted. And Brian says, what up, Ted? There you are. I don't know if you can hear me. Let's see. Yeah, too. Okay. I've got him in here. I get the impression he can't hear me. I'm hearing myself echoing back from his mic, though. All right, I'm going to try to continue with this story unless Ted gets in here and says something. All right. So, Pixel Watch 3. I'm going to drop this into reader view. And I'll try to remember what you asked about the bezels, Brian. All right, what you need to know. Okay, we'll just read the whole thing. A new leak from a French site reveals the prices for the Pixel Watch 3 and Pixel Watch 3 XL, and it's not looking good. Deal Labs claims that the base model 41 millimeter with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi is expected to start at 399 euros. Now, if I look at my other note, that would be $433 US. That's what I want to pull that up for. Matching the launch price of the Pixel Watch 2 in other markets via Android Police. This leak also hints at a price hike for the LTE version of the 41 millimeter Pixel Watch 3, which is expected to be priced at 499 euros, which is in US money is $541. This is a bump up from the Pixel Watch 2 LTE's launch price of 399 euros. So we're looking at an increase of 50 to 100 euros, which might not sit well with budget-conscious buyers. Like I said, I probably won't be getting it anyway. These prices might seem pretty high on their own, and they do to me, and even more so when you compare them to the leading Android smartwatches on the market. For example, the Samsung Galaxy Watch 7, which is what I just got, starts at just 319 euros for the Wi-Fi model and 369 for the LTE version. Okay. The rumored Pixel Watch 3 XL isn't helping the price concerns either. Now it's going to get worse. According to Deal Labs, the Wi-Fi Bluetooth model that might start at 449 euros, which is 487 US, while the LTE version could be at 549 euros, and in dollars, $596. So we're talking some expensive, and we're getting up there in that ultra area with both the Apple and Samsung's at that price. This would be a first for Google, offering the Pixel Watch in two different sizes if the rumors are accurate. Interestingly, Deal Labs points out that the official name for the larger model is still uncertain, so it may not be called that. While most leaks call it the Pixel Watch 3 XL, there's no official confirmation yet. Deal Labs also gives us a glimpse at the potential strap colors. The 41mm model might come in hazel, obsidian, pink, and porcelain. Meanwhile, the 45mm model could have fewer options with just hazel, obsidian, and porcelain. And let me drop this out of reader view, see if we can see. Okay, there you go, Brian. Yeah, I guess the bezels are smaller. Yeah, and Brian, Brian and Ruthie are both agreeing with me. No Pixel Watch for me, says Brian. And Ruthie, nope, no way for me either. And I'm with both of you guys. Anyway, it does look to me like the bezels are probably a little less. Let me see. Did we have any more pictures of that down here? I don't think so. No. Okay, so that's going to be it. Did I finish reading everything? Yeah. So that's it, folks. And we got to give credit to Ted. Ted tried to come in. Obviously, he couldn't hear me. His mic was working because I could hear myself feeding back through it. You probably could hear that too. But remember the last time he came in about a month ago or 3 weeks ago, he had trouble hearing me at first. He had to go back out. Took him a while, and he came back in, and then he had that fixed. He had to switch microphones. Or he had to switch something with the earphones. I think he was using one microphone for both. But anyway, he tried to come in. Obviously, didn't make it today. But hey, we got to give him credit for trying. So that's all I've got for this week, folks. Like I said, just interesting stories. All right, Ted, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, now you can hear me. So now that I'm finished all the stories, right?
Sorry.
Because last time you came in, you also had the same problem, right?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you for some reason. I had to come out and come back in to check all my settings.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So are you still using the same stuff? Now, what are you hearing me with? Through your computer?
Yeah, I'm through my monitor.
Okay. And that's what you... So you didn't switch from before to now? I mean, you were still
No,
using
nothing.
the monitor?
Everything's pretty much the same.
Okay. So anyway, I just finished the last... Were you following the stories along?
Yeah, the last few.
Okay. Did you catch the first one, which I thought was the most ridiculous? The
$10 one.
The $10 gift. I mean, come on. My comment was, did you happen to ask any of your people who you cause millions or billions of dollars that they might want a little help with paying all those man hours they had to pay to get everything fixed? I mean, that was a serious
how much?
insult.
Makes me wonder how much are their services that an apology is only $10.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure they charge like $2,000.
And to make it even worse, some of them weren't working because here they send out these Uber Eats gift cards, never told Uber, so Uber's flagging it, thinking that something's wrong, and I don't blame them. So this is a company who just doesn't prepare very well for it looks like anything.
It's their first major screw up, sometimes.
Yeah, but following it up this week with this, with not even telling Uber, that's another screw up.
Why Uber Eats too? Like, I think maybe it was just for select departments.
I would suspect it would have gone to thousands, or maybe hundreds of thousands, and that's why Uber wasn't prepared for it and shut it off, thinking it was fraud. And I don't blame them. I would have thought the same thing. So anyway, I just thought that's the one I started with, because I'm like, you talk about insulting people. So, what have you been up to? Give us a little update on your life and your photography and all that good stuff. How's your bicycle, by the way?
touch wood, I haven't actually had a flat in the past 2
Oh,
weeks.
okay. Okay, good, good.
Don't know why
But
I'm so
at
lucky.
least you're going in the right direction. That's very good.
So that's been a welcome difference. But otherwise,
Is that
there's
the
that.
is that the only way you go to work?
Yeah, if it's not raining.
Okay, okay,
If it's not raining, yep, that's the main way I go to work.
okay,
So I've been very fortunate with the no flats. I put air in it every 2 days.
okay.
And the wheel, I had the front wheel change, and this new wheel rides much better.
Okay, now I would assume you've got the thin wheels of a racing bike because I
Yeah,
don't have that. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
28s. I can't
yeah,
go
mine's a
bigger.
little, mine's a crossover, so my wheels are a little thicker, so I don't get as many flats. I've
You
only
probably have
had
like a
one
30 or 40 on the 40 side or the 30 side, probably.
30 something set. No, is it 40? It's 41. It's
Yeah.
41.
Fortunately, my bike frame doesn't take wider, so
Yeah,
28 is the
yeah,
widest I can
yes,
go.
that's true pretty much of all bikes, yeah. But see, I knew I didn't, I never needed a racing bike. So I've only had one flat. I've had it. I've been taking it to the park for getting close to 9 years now, and I've had one flat in that whole time. So
I've had way more than one. I can say that.
now, keep in mind, you're riding in real city streets. I'm only riding on park trails. Big difference.
Yeah, true. But yeah, the last time I got a flat was because of little itty bitty thorns. So I'm just unlucky at this point.
Oh, and that's still here. Glad you're still here, Annette. So you heard all of the stories, and you got to see Ted. There's your big bonus.
There we go. In terms of
Um,
I've had a gig last week, so I
something
got to
else.
do the photos now. So that's also good.
Oh, very good, very good. That's what you were doing last week.
Yeah,
Now, do you still have both phones, or did you get rid of one
I
like
have
you
both
moved in?
cameras still, and I didn't even use this new camera. I don't intend to take out this new camera outside the
Okay,
apartment. I'm just gonna
okay,
use it for video indoor purposes. I'll just say that,
okay. Well, you
just in
you
case I need
haven't
to sell it.
you haven't made a video in a very long time. You realize that, right?
Yep, I haven't.
Okay, so you
Let's see.
guys all looking forward.
Let's see. Well, what was the second story about? That one I didn't really catch. Android
Oh, the
users.
second story was Android users coming to iPhone, but for the wrong reasons. It was on Tech Radar. And the gist of the story is they've had like 27% of new iOS users coming from Android in the third quarter of this year, but almost very few of them are coming to the iPhone 15. They're buying last year's iPhone 14s, iPhone 13s, and they're not buying the iPhone 15s at all, hardly. Well, they're buying some, and the
They're buying
15
the
Pro
Pro
Max.
models of the 15s, but not the Plus. Is like the last one that they're buying.
No, these new people are not buying the Pro models. That's the big complaint.
Oh, the Android switchers.
These new Android switches are buying uh, last year's 14 Pro and last year's 14 a lot, I gather. So that's what the whole story was about.
Okay.
And of course, they were saying, Tech Radar was saying, well, if you do want the Apple Intelligence features, which are not coming to the regular 15s, they're only coming to the Pro, then wait for iPhone 16 at this point because you're only a month and a half away now. And I would agree with them.
Yeah, I can't believe we're already close to the Pixel 9 too. Like it's wow.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think I'll be getting anything Pixel this year because I still have my first Pixel watch. I didn't even get the second one. But yeah, I'm probably going to try to trade up my iPhone when that comes out. My guess is I won't be getting anything Pixel. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. What about the? Yeah, you're gonna get the Galaxy Ring?
No, not a chance.
Okay, not a chance. You don't like
Yeah,
like that.
Ruthie was thinking about getting it, but we had discussed it some on Instagram. And I sent her. I showed an article that I did last week. Last week about what I thought of, and then MKBHD did a nice video about it and his bottom line. And MKBHD is pretty fair, but his bottom line, not for me.
Okay.
So, so I think after she saw the article and she saw that, she said she's going to pass on it also. So,
Okay.
and until I saw that article myself, I had considered the Ring, but he made too many good points. If I just got the Samsung Galaxy Watch 7, you can do a whole lot more with the Samsung Galaxy Watch 7 than you can do with any of those rings.
Yeah, because it has a screen. So
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
like that's the point of not you want a ring so you don't have to charge a display all the time.
Yeah. Let's see. Brian said, why the world mix the pixel if they kill it? Would the world miss the pixel if they kill it completely? The world? I'm thinking probably not. I mean, I would hope so for Google, but you're probably
Pixel
right.
sells in few select markets, so
Exactly, exactly. Now, Ruthie did say, yeah, she changed her mind on the Ring. Uh, she'll buy the Pixel 7 instead. I mean, the Watch 7 instead. And that's exactly what I did. And I am loving my Watch 7 so far. Now, what I need to do soon, I told Brian tonight I'm going to try to do it by next week. I've gotten so many earbuds, and I just fell into this whole earbud thing. I got the new earbuds day before yesterday, which has the new technology, which earbuds haven't had for like 100 years. And the second I put them on, I did my usual Mozart, Eine Kleine Nachtmusik, and wow, did that sound good. But I haven't taken them to work or taken them on a bike ride yet, so we'll see. But I'm going to try to compare like my last 5 earbuds in a kind of an in-depth way, but it's going to take me a little while to do that. And then, of course, I'm obviously going to have to do that with some of my watches too, because I have the Samsung Galaxy Watch 7 and I have the OnePlus Watch 3. So, and
that
I'm
looks nice
loving
and
this
clean.
watch too.
Out of the three of them, which are nice? Which would you prefer?
I still lean towards the Samsung,
Okay.
and I've always leaned towards the Samsung watches, even over my Apple Watch. I
Even though
also
they
got
took
my
off the dial?
yeah, even with that. Now keep in mind, I didn't buy the 6, so the last time I had the rotating bezel was the 4, which Elmo has now.
Okay.
So anyway, so between the watches and the earbuds, that'll keep me somewhat busy. And like I said, I expect when the new iPhone comes out, I'll be trading up, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you had some business last week, and I hope you keep getting some camera business.
Yes.
All right, folks. Well, at least we got a little bit of Ted today. We got a little update on his bike. We got a little update on his camera. So we're good. So I think that's going to be it for us today. We will. Well, I'll see you next week. If we're lucky, we'll see Ted next week too. Maybe a little earlier. We'll see. And I hope everybody has a blessed and wonderful weekend. And let's all remember, we all do better when we love each other. See you next week, guys.